The sky over Eidolon 9 was the color of burnt copper where clouds used to be. Now hung the slow swirl of alien warships blotting out the stars. The Dominion banners, black with streaks of molten red, rippled from the broken towers of Varkel Outpost. In the center square, humans were gathered in silence, herded by Dravkar soldiers whose scaled armor glinted under the amber light. Captain Aaron Vale stood among them, hood drawn low, fists clenched at his sides. His wife, Ilara, was led to the raised platform ahead, flanked by 2 reptilian guards. Her wrists were bound, her uniform, once crisp Terran medic white, now torn and dirt-streaked. She didn't look broken. Just tired, proud, and very, very human. A massive figure emerged from the command dais. Warlord Krathzuun, a towering Dravkar with plates of obsidian armor fused into his flesh. His voice rumbled through a translation collar, low and distorted. By decree of the Dominion, the Terran insurgent Ilara Vale is guilty of sedition, sabotage, and defiance. Her death shall serve as a reminder to all creatures of lesser will: rebellion is futility. Aaron's jaw locked. His pulse hammered against the base of his throat. Ilara lifted her chin. Her gaze swept across the crowd until she found him. No fear in her eyes, only that calm, measured look she'd always had when everything went wrong. The one that said, "Don't lose yourself." Krathzuun raised a curved blade. "Any last words, human?" Ilara's voice carried clear through the cold air. "You'll never understand what we are. You can crush our bones, burn our cities, but you'll never ever make us kneel in spirit." The warlord tilted his head. "Spirit is a chemical illusion. Pain teaches truth." The blade came down. Aaron didn't scream. He didn't move. Not as the crowd gasped, not as the crimson light spilled across the stone, not even as they dragged her body away like refuse. His heartbeat slowed, every thud echoing through the hollowed chamber of his chest. His mind went quiet. Something inside him, something small, bright, human, curled up and died. When the soldiers marched them away, he followed wordlessly, memorizing every face, every insignia, every alien gesture. Revenge didn't need rage, it needed precision. Night fell hard over the ruins. Aaron slipped from the crowd during curfew, moving through collapsed alleys that stank of ozone and ash. Patrol drones hummed overhead, scanning for heat signatures. He crouched behind a broken monument, an old Terran eagle cracked at the wings, and pressed a trembling hand against the cold metal. He could still smell her hair, hear her laugh, the way she'd hum quietly while patching up his wounds after training. He swallowed the memories like poison, forcing them down until they became fuel. In the distance, explosions punctured the night, another resistance cell caught and purged. The Dominion's efficiency was absolute. Within a month, they had turned a world of 10 million into a camp of obedience. But humans never stayed obedient for long. Aaron moved through the ruins, past graffiti scratched in haste, "Eidolon endures." Someone had smeared blood beneath the words like a signature. He ducked under a collapsed walkway, slipping into a hidden tunnel, a forgotten maintenance line buried beneath the city. At the tunnel's end, a low mechanical growl greeted him. 2 amber eyes flickered in the dark. "Easy, Sable," he whispered. The creature padded forward, small, squat, muscles coiled like cables beneath bristled fur. The honey badger sniffed the air, head tilting in curiosity. Its flank bore thin carbon fiber plating, scarred from old combat trials. A faint neural uplink port gleamed near its shoulder. Aaron crouched, brushing a hand over its head. "Yeah. It's me. I'm still breathing." A synthetic voice crackled through the uplink, flat but laced with personality. "Sable, took you long enough. Smells like failure out there." Aaron almost smiled. "You should have seen the crowd. Big Lizard made a show of it." "Sable, and you didn't shoot him?" "Not yet. He's expecting that. Let him think I'm broken first." The honey badger snorted. "Humans and your drama." Aaron leaned back against the wall, closing his eyes. They killed her in front of everyone. And now every human out there is terrified. That's how they win. Not with strength, by stealing belief. "Sable, so what's your play, Captain?" He opened his eyes. They were cold now, clear and focused. "We make them believe again." The next morning, Dominion patrols scoured the western quarter. A single transport had gone missing overnight, a vehicle loaded with power cores. The warlord was furious. He sent hunting drones into every street, scanning for human signatures. Aaron watched from the shadows of an abandoned spire, binoculars pressed to his eyes. The stolen transport sat camouflaged under debris half a mile east, wired to detonate when the search party drew near. He counted the seconds, heart steady. When the lead drone passed the checkpoint, he whispered, "Now." Sable bit down on a detonator relay. The explosion rolled through the city like thunder. The tower windows shattered, and a fireball climbed into the smog-choked sky. Alien soldiers shrieked over their comms. Aaron turned away before the shockwave reached him. One strike. Not vengeance. A message. "Sable, you think they noticed?" Aaron's voice was calm. "I want them to notice." By dusk, propaganda broadcasts filled the Dominion channels. Krathzuun's voice thundered across the city. "An act of sabotage has been committed. The guilty will face the fate of the traitor Ilara Vale. Humans must surrender the insurgent known as the Phantom." Aaron listened from a safe house beneath an old maglev terminal. The Phantom. They'd already given him a name. Perfect. He reloaded his rifle, Terran issue, modified with alien coils scavenged from the battlefield. The metal was worn smooth, but reliable. Sable lay curled near the corner, sensors dimmed. Aaron's gaze drifted to a cracked holoframe on the wall, him and Ilara, smiling in sunlight that no longer existed. He touched the image with a calloused finger. "Didn't even give you a grave," he murmured. "Sable, you gonna brood all night, or do something?" He smiled faintly. "Planning something." The honey badger stretched, claws scraping metal. "That usually means people explode." Aaron checked his sidearm. "Then I'm planning something good." Outside, the sky burned with alien fire. Patrols prowled, searchlights slicing through the ruins. Aaron moved like a shadow through the wreckage, every step calculated. The neural link fed him Sable's infrared vision overlay, heat trails of enemies, hidden traps, drone flight paths. He reached the edge of the old Terran district, where the Dominion had converted a hospital into a command hub. The same place Ilara once worked. The irony twisted in his gut. He raised his rifle, studying the guards through the scope. 2 at the gate, 1 on the roof. Efficient. Predictable. He took a breath, steady and deliberate. "Let's begin," he whispered. The rifle coughed once. The rooftop guard dropped. A beat later, the second fell, throat blooming red. Before the third could react, Sable darted forward, a blur of fur and fury. The honey badger leapt, claws flashing, tearing through armor as if it were paper. Aaron advanced, stepping over the bodies. Inside, alarms blared. He ducked behind a corridor, plasma bolts scorching the wall near his head. He fired once, twice, clean, surgical shots. Each alien fell where they stood. He didn't stop until he reached the medical wing. The walls were stained, instruments shattered, her workstation overturned. A faint trace of blood marked the floor. He knelt there, fingertips brushing the cold tile. "Sable, you okay?" No, his voice was flat. "But I will be." He rose, pocketing a small medallion he found beneath the rubble, hers, engraved with a faded Terran insignia. He turned toward the exit, shoulders squared. The message was clear now. Krathzuun thought he'd executed a widow. He'd just created a war. The blast from the hospital strike hadn't even settled before the Dominion locked down the entire district. Drones swarmed the skyline like hornets, casting blue search beams through smoke and debris. Every alleyway was a trap, every shadow alive with danger. But Aaron Vale moved like water through the chaos, fluid, silent, purposeful. He and Sable ducked through a cracked ventilation shaft beneath the northern wall. The metal was hot from nearby fires. Every breath tasted of ash and burnt circuitry. Above them, alien voices barked orders in sharp, guttural bursts. "Sable, they're angry." "Aaron, good. Anger makes them stupid." He pushed through the shaft and emerged into a maintenance bay. Rusted Terran tools hung on hooks, long forgotten. He scanned the room, then pried open an old comms locker. Inside lay a half-dead datapad wrapped in dust and oilcloth. Human tech. Pre-war encryption. Perfect. Aaron powered it up, fingers moving quick across the cracked screen. Lines of code shimmered. Still intact, he muttered. If we can route this through the old maglev lines, we can broadcast beyond the city. Let the others know the Dominion bleeds. Sable paced in a small circle. You think there are others left? Aaron's jaw tightened. There are always others left. They just need a reason to stand again. The datapad blinked to life. He plugged it into his wrist uplink and began siphoning Dominion intel, patrol grids, troop rotations, supply depots. Every line of data was another weakness exposed. Outside, the low hum of a skimmer passed overhead. He froze. Through a cracked window, he saw the insignia on the hull, Krath Zuun's personal guard. They were sweeping the ruins faster than expected. His time was running out. Sable, he whispered. We move. They slipped into the back tunnels that fed the old industrial sector. Pipes rattled overhead, dripping condensation onto his shoulders. The deeper they went, the quieter the world became. Even the drones stayed clear of these tunnels. Something about the electromagnetic fields interfered with their sensors. Aaron tapped the comlink embedded in his collar. Open channel. Frequency 126.9. Static crackled, then a faint human voice cut through. This is Lieutenant Farrow. Who is this? Vale, he said. Captain Aaron Vale, Terran Marines. Silence, then disbelief. You're dead. Not yet. I'm in Varkel. I've hit their command hub. I need a rally point. Farrow hesitated. Most of the cells were wiped out. We've been scattered since the siege. Then we rebuild, Aaron said evenly. Tell anyone still breathing to move toward the northern aquifer tunnels. Midnight. Bring whatever weapons you can carry. Farrow exhaled shakily. You really think we can win this? Aaron looked down at Sable, who tilted her head, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. We don't have to win yet, he said. We just have to start making them lose. The channel went dead. By nightfall, the temperature dropped. The metallic air turned cold, sharp against the lungs. Aaron lit a small plasma torch, illuminating the chamber's walls' old graffiti from before the invasion. Words carved deep by desperate hands, we fight still. He smiled faintly. Humans never let go of their stubbornness. Sable sniffed the air. 2 life signs ahead. Not Dominion. Aaron drew his pistol and advanced quietly. The tunnel opened into a wide cistern. 2 figures crouched near the far wall, ragged and thin, their eyes wide with fear when the light touched them. Don't shoot, one of them rasped. A woman, maybe 30, clutching a length of pipe. The other, a teenage boy, limped slightly, a crude bandage wrapped around his leg. Aaron lowered the pistol. Your resistance. Used to be, she said bitterly. Until they burned Sector 6. He stepped closer, handing her a small ration pack. Sector 6 was brave. Their broadcast kept half the colony fighting for weeks. She stared at the ration, hesitant, then took it. You're the one they're calling the Phantom. Aaron didn't confirm or deny. What's your name? Rhea. This is Kai. Good. You're coming with me. Rhea frowned. To what? Another doomed stand? Aaron's tone was even. To a beginning. Midnight. Northern tunnels. She studied him for a long moment, searching for something, doubt, fear, anything. She found none. At last she nodded. Then we'll be there. Hours later, Aaron stood at the tunnel mouth overlooking the city. Smoke curled from a dozen fires, painting the night in shades of rust and ember. The Dominion had tightened their perimeter, but they couldn't cover everything. Not yet. Sable, 3 heat signatures approaching, she reported. Humans. Aaron turned. Rhea, Kai, and 2 others emerged from the dark. They looked worn but ready, makeshift rifles, scavenged armor, eyes hollow yet burning. Farrow's voice came through the comm. Captain, we've got 7 more inbound from the east. And I've got eyes on Dominion patrols 8, maybe 10. Aaron nodded. Let them come. The more they bring, the more they lose. He crouched over a rough map drawn into the dirt. Listen carefully. The Dominion relies on their energy towers for communication. We take down the relay at the central junction, and every squad in this city goes blind for 10 minutes. Enough time to move, hit their convoys, steal their ammo, and vanish again. Rhea frowned. That's suicide. Aaron met her gaze. Everything worth doing starts that way. They moved at midnight. Aaron led the strike through the skeletal remains of old transit lines. Sable scouted ahead, her thermal sensors painting alien movement across his visor feed. The group advanced in silence, steps muffled by ash and dust. They reached the base of the relay tower, a spire of black metal humming with violet energy. Alien sentries patrolled its base, their armor pulsing faintly under the glow. Aaron motioned for the team to split. Rhea and Kai took the left flank. Pharaoh's group circled from the rear. He and Sable crept toward the main conduit, where the power lines fed into the ground. Sable, 6 guards, 3 drones. Aaron, we start with the drones. He raised his rifle, switching to electromagnetic rounds. Each shot cracked through the air, silent pulses of light. The drones dropped one by one, their bodies sparking as they fell. Guards turned, shouting in their guttural tongue. Plasma bolts lanced through the smoke. Aaron dived behind a generator, rolled, and fired back. One alien fell, another staggered under a burst of fire. Sable leapt into the melee, claws flashing, tearing through armor plates. She moved like living lightning, fearless and fast. Rhea's team joined from the flank, cutting down the last guard. When the final bolt faded, the tower's hum remained a steady, unnatural heartbeat. Aaron slung his rifle and opened the main panel. Wires glowed with volatile energy. Cores are linked, he said. Once we cut this feed, their comms drop. Pharaoh wiped sweat from his brow. You sure this won't fry us too? Aaron grinned faintly. 50-50 chance. He yanked the cable. The tower screamed, lights flickering. A shockwave of static rippled outward, and suddenly the night went still. No drone chatter, no comms, nothing but wind. Sable's voice came through the neural link. We did it. Aaron stared at the tower collapsing in sparks. We did more than that. We just told every human left on this rock that the Dominion isn't untouchable. As dawn crept over the ruins, Aaron sat on a ridge, watching the sun push weak light through the haze. Smoke trails rose like ghostly fingers across the horizon. He could hear the faint echoes of cheering from the tunnels below, small, disbelieving, but real. He reached into his pocket and pulled out Ilara's medallion. The metal caught the sun, fractured and warm. Sable, you think she'd approve? Aaron's voice was quiet. She'd tell me to stop being dramatic and get back to work. Sable snorted. Sounds human enough. He smiled, eyes still on the horizon. Good. Because we're just getting started. The wind carried the faint hum of movement in the distance, the Dominion regrouping. But for the first time since the war began, Aaron felt something like hope. Not the soft kind. The hard, relentless kind that survives everything. Humankind. The Dominion's silence didn't last long. By the next night, their response thundered across Eidolon 9. Columns of skimmers patrolled the skyline, gunships prowled the ruins, and propaganda holograms blared from every tower. Surrender, the insurgent called the Phantom, the broadcasts roared, or your entire district will burn. Aaron Vale watched from the shattered window of an old observation deck. The lights of Varkel burned below, cold, orderly, suffocating. He sipped water from a dented flask, eyes fixed on the horizon. The city was alive with tension, like a wire pulled too tight. Sable crouched beside him, metal plating glinting faintly. Sable, they're sweeping the lower sectors again. 2 squads, heavy infantry. Aaron, let them waste their fuel. Sable, you're calm for a man with a death warrant. Aaron, calm gets you home. Panic gets you dead. He checked his rifle, reloaded with scavenged rounds, and turned toward the others. The resistance had grown. 20 men and women crouched among the shadows of the room, listening. They weren't soldiers, miners, medics, scavengers, but their eyes carried the same fire. Rhea stood nearest him, hair tied back, rifle slung low. Pharaoh says the Dominion's bringing something new. Big transport ship, unmarked. Aaron frowned. Krathzuun's personal transport. Think is here, she asked. I don't think, he said. I know. The room went still. The name carried weight. Warlord Krathzuun wasn't just a commander, he was the Dominion's symbol of fear, the monster that broke whole colonies. For him to come here meant Aaron's strikes had struck deeper than intended. Then we end it, Aaron said simply. Tonight. They moved through the ruins just before dawn, slipping between skeletal buildings and twisted metal. The air was heavy with static, the sky bruised purple from the exhaust haze. Dominion patrols swept the streets, scanning every shadow. Aaron's team kept low, guided by Sable's sensor feed. At the edge of the industrial quarter, they found the transport, a massive black ship, anchored near the command citadel. The hull shimmered with refractive armor, the Dominion emblem pulsing faintly across its side. Guards patrolled in tight formations, disciplined and alert. Aaron crouched behind a slab of concrete, studying the field through binoculars. Krathzuun's ship won't stay grounded long. We'll need to move fast. Pharaoh knelt beside him. What's the plan? Aaron's tone was clipped, controlled. We breach the perimeter using the drainage culvert. I'll go for the warlord. The rest of you sabotage the engines and retreat west. When you see the ship ignite, run like hell. Rhea glanced up sharply. You're going in alone? Aaron met her eyes. He killed her. This ends with me. She wanted to argue but didn't. Instead, she nodded once, jaw tight. Then make it count. The culvert stank of oil and decay. Aaron crawled through the narrow tunnel, rifle slung across his back, Sable padding silently ahead. Above, alien footsteps echoed faintly. Light filtered through vents in thin, stuttering beams. Sable, biosigns ahead, 2 guards. Aaron, quiet approach. He slipped out of the culvert's mouth into a maintenance corridor. 2 Dravkar stood near a control panel, muttering in low tones. Aaron crept behind them, knife in hand. One clean motion, steel flashed, the first alien fell. The second turned, too slow. A suppressed pistol hissed once, and silence returned. Sable sniffed the air. You're efficient tonight. Aaron wiped the blade clean. Practice. They moved deeper into the structure, weaving through metallic corridors that vibrated with low-energy pulses. The hum of the ship's core echoed faintly, steady as a heartbeat. Aaron's HUD mapped the route from stolen schematics, bridge deck ahead, guarded heavily. He stopped before a sealed blast door, scanning its interface. The symbols were alien, angular, cruelly elegant. He connected a pulse device to the lock, fingers dancing across his datapad. 30 seconds. Sable's claws tapped the floor. Make it 10. We've got company. He didn't look up. Cover me. The door's mechanism clicked. Metal slid aside with a low hiss. Inside, the air changed, cooler, heavier. A circular chamber stretched before him, lined with dark metal veins pulsing with faint blue light. At its center stood Warlord Krathzuun, towering, armored, inhuman. The alien's voice filled the room, deep and resonant. Human. You have cost me soldiers, ships, and sleep. You think this makes you powerful? Aaron stepped forward, rifle leveled. No. It makes me angry. Krathzuun's mandibles flared in what might have been amusement. I remember your mate. Defiant. She spoke of love, as though it were a weapon. Aaron's trigger finger twitched. It was. You just didn't see the edge. The warlord drew his plasma blade, energy curling along its length. You will see her again when I scatter your atoms across the stars. Sable's voice broke through the neural link. Captain, heat signatures inbound. Reinforcements. Aaron didn't move. No. We finish this now. The fight erupted in a blur of light and motion. Krathzoon lunged, his blade slicing through the air with searing speed. Aaron rolled aside, firing a burst that scorched the alien's armor but didn't penetrate. The warlord's strength was monstrous, each swing sent shockwaves through the floor. Aaron ducked behind a console, reloading fast. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Sable, distract him. The honey badger darted across the floor, a blur of motion. She leapt onto Krathzoon's arm, tearing into the armor plating. The alien roared, slamming her against the wall, but she clung on, relentless. Aaron seized the opening. He aimed for the exposed joint at the alien's neck and fired. The shot struck home. Krathzoon staggered, snarling, his blade flaring wild arcs of light. "You think this changes anything?" the alien growled. "Your kind will always kneel." Aaron rose slowly, blood trickling from a cut along his temple. "Not me. Not ever." He lunged forward, slamming a shock grenade against the warlord's chest plate. It detonated with a blinding flash. The blast hurled them both backward. When the light cleared, the alien was on his knees, armor cracked and smoking. Krathzoon tried to rise. "You cannot win." Aaron lifted his rifle, eyes cold. "We already did. You just haven't felt it yet." One final shot. The warlord fell still. Outside, alarms screamed across the compound. Rear's team had done their part, the engines were burning, plasma fuel igniting into a rising inferno. The sky bloomed with fire. Aaron dragged Sable from the wreckage, her plating scorched but intact. "Sable, that hurt." "Aaron, you'll live." She shook herself, sparks scattering. "You humans are insane." He managed a faint grin. "Takes one to know one." They stumbled into the ruins as the ship behind them erupted. The shockwave rolled through the city, scattering debris, toppling towers. The Dominion fleet above reeled, their communication networks fried by the explosion. Pharaoh's voice came through the comm, static breaking. "Captain, the whole city saw it. They saw him fall." Aaron looked back at the plume of smoke clawing the sky. "Then they'll remember what it means to fight." At dawn, survivors gathered in the aquifer tunnels. Faces once hollow now burned with something fierce, belief. Rear approached, dust-streaked but smiling. "You actually did it." Aaron sat against the wall, exhausted, blooded, alive. He thought we'd break. He was wrong. She glanced at the others. "What now?" Aaron gazed upward, toward the fractured ceiling where sunlight broke through. "Now we rebuild. One world at a time." Sable settled beside him, eyes glowing faintly. "You realize this isn't over?" He nodded. "It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to spread." The crowd grew quiet, listening as he spoke low, steady, the tone of a soldier turned legend. "They think humans are weak because we bleed, because we mourn. But that's the mistake every conqueror makes. We grieve, yes. Then we rise. And we don't stop." The tunnels filled with quiet murmurs. Hope, not loud yet, but alive. Aaron closed his eyes briefly, seeing Alara's face in the warmth of memory, her smile soft and knowing. "Rest easy," he whispered. "We're not done yet." Outside, the sun climbed higher, cutting through the smoke, turning the ruins of Eidolon 9 into something almost beautiful. The world was still broken, still dangerous, but for the first time in years, humanity wasn't kneeling. It was standing. The fires of the fallen Dominion ship smoldered for 2 days. Its twisted metal spine jutted from the ruins like a warning to the sky. The wind carried the scent of scorched circuitry and ash, a new flag planted on a wounded world. Aaron Vale stood atop a fractured transport hull, watching the horizon through cracked binoculars. The Dominion fleet had pulled back from low orbit, regrouping beyond the moon's rim. That wasn't mercy, it was calculation. They were assessing their loss, preparing a counterstrike. Sable perched beside him, claws tapping against the steel. "You know they'll come back with something bigger." Aaron adjusted the focus. "Then we make sure we're ready before they do." Below, the human camp was stirring. Dozens of survivors had gathered from the tunnels, mechanics, farmers, medics, old soldiers. The resistance wasn't just an idea anymore, it was a living, breathing community. Makeshift shelters lined the cracked ground, patched together with scavenged steel and fabric. People spoke in low, purposeful tones. They weren't afraid. Not today. Rhea approached, a datapad under her arm. Her voice was brisk, professional. Scouts report movement east of the ridge, Dominion drones, small units only. Probably reckon. Aaron nodded. They're hunting for weakness. Let them find nothing. She hesitated. There's more. The signal you sent through the maglev array, it didn't just reach Varkel. It bounced off a satellite net we thought was dead. We picked up return transmissions from 2 other colonies. He looked at her sharply. Human colonies? Yes. Fractured, but they heard us. They heard you. They called you the man who killed Krathzuun. Aaron didn't respond immediately. The idea unsettled him. He hadn't done it for fame. Vengeance had been his compass, not legend. Yet the thought of other humans hearing that the Dominion could be beaten stirred something deeper than pride. Rhea continued, they're asking for orders. Aaron exhaled slowly. Then we give them direction. We connect the worlds. If one rises, all rise. By midday, the camp's engineers had rigged a crude comm tower from the Dominion wreckage. Its signal dish gleamed under the weak sun, patched with scrap metal and hope. Aaron climbed the ladder to the top, where the wind tore through the gaps. He connected his wrist uplink to the console. The interface flickered to life, static-laced but functional. Voices buzzed faintly through the channel, human, distant, frightened but alive. This is Captain Vale of Eidolon 9, he said, voice steady. To all Terran outposts still standing, you are not alone. The Dominion bleeds. We have proof. They can die, and we can make them fall. Rally your people. Hide nothing. We are the storm they never expected. The line went silent, then erupted with overlapping transmissions, cheers, disbelief, pledges of support. Aaron listened for a few seconds, then shut it off. The message was enough. Words didn't win wars, but they started them. Sable climbed up beside him, squinting into the distance. You just painted a target the size of a continent on us. Aaron smiled faintly. Good. Makes it easier for them to find where to die. Night descended heavy and cold. The stars shimmered through the thin haze, bright and cruelly distant. The resistance huddled near the central fire, the glow flickering over tired faces. Someone had salvaged a bottle of synthetic whiskey. Laughter rippled through the camp for the first time in years. Aaron sat apart, cleaning his rifle. Rhea joined him, lowering herself to the ground beside him. They're calling this place Vale's Hold now. He glanced at her, unimpressed. That's a terrible name. It's better than Hole 9, which is what it was before you showed up. He smirked despite himself. You sound almost optimistic. She leaned back against the hull. You gave people something to believe in. That's more dangerous than any weapon. He paused, hands stilling over the rifle. Belief cuts both ways. The Dominion will want to snuff it fast. Then we make them choke on it, she said. Their eyes met briefly, the firelight dancing in the reflection of his visor. No words followed, but something unspoken passed between them: recognition, respect, shared exhaustion. An hour before dawn, the alarm sirens wailed. The ground trembled under a deep, rhythmic thud. The Dominion had returned. Aaron was on his feet before the second blast hit. Positions, he shouted. Get everyone under cover. From the ridge, dark silhouettes emerged, towering walkers, their limbs like skeletal cranes, plasma cannons glowing. Above them, drones buzzed in synchronized patterns, weaving a deadly grid of light. Pharaoh sprinted to his side, breath ragged. We counted 6 walkers, maybe more behind the ridge. They're surrounding us. Good, Aaron said, loading a fresh magazine. Less running to do. He signaled Sable, who bounded toward the outer barricade. Overload their sensors when I give the word. Sable, you really should define overload. Until something explodes. Got it. The first volley came hard, plasma bolts searing through the perimeter, blasting holes in the barricades. Humans dove for cover, returning fire with scavenged rifles and stolen alien weapons. The air filled with screams, smoke, and the sharp tang of ozone. Aaron moved along the line, calm and deliberate, firing controlled bursts. Aim for the joints, he barked. They're slower than they look. Rhea crouched beside a fallen crate, firing up at the advancing walker. Its shields are regenerating. Aaron pointed upward. Then hit its eyes. She adjusted aim, squeezed the trigger. The walker staggered, one glowing lens shattering. It toppled sideways, crushing its own troops. The humans roared, emboldened. Sable darted into the chaos, attaching an EMP charge to another machine's leg. The explosion ripped it apart in a spray of molten shards. Sable, that felt satisfying. Aaron grinned. Get used to it. But the Dominion weren't retreating. From the eastern horizon, a new shape rose, sleek, massive, unmistakably alien. A command carrier. Its shadow swallowed the ridge. Rhea's voice cracked over the comm. That's not a patrol ship. No, Aaron said grimly. That's a purge craft. He scanned the field. They couldn't outgun it. Not yet. But they could hurt it. He switched to internal comms. Pharaoh, get everyone underground. Rhea, you're with me. We're taking the carrier's core offline before it turns this place to glass. Rhea didn't argue. She slung her rifle and followed. They sprinted through smoke and ruin, ducking between the walker corpses. The carrier's landing gear struck the ground like thunder, throwing up a storm of dust. The belly hatch opened, revealing Dominion shock troops in formation. Aaron vaulted over a barrier, firing as he ran. Rhea covered his flank. The soldiers moved with mechanical precision, but they weren't ready for humans charging headlong through chaos. They breached the carrier's underbelly, slipping through the fire-scorched hatch. Inside, the corridors pulsed with alien light, humming with power. Sable's voice filled their comms. You're inside their reactor channel. Cores are unshielded during descent. Aaron grinned. Perfect. He planted two shaped charges along the main conduit. When I say go, trigger them. Sable, you know this whole when I say go thing usually ends with you covered in something unpleasant. Occupational hazard. They fought their way back toward the hatch, fire chasing them through the corridor. Dominion troops fell behind them, confusion spreading through their ranks. When Aaron hit the ridge line, he turned, voice steady. Now. The explosion ripped through the dawn. The carrier erupted from within, a column of blue-white fire piercing the sky. The shockwave rolled across the valley, flattening what was left of the Dominion vanguard. Aaron hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision blurred. Rhea pulled him upright. The wreckage burned behind them like a second sunrise. She stared at the flames, chest heaving. You just destroyed a Dominion purge ship with 2 charges. He shrugged. 3. One was just late. She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. You're insane. Probably, he said, watching the horizon where the flames met the sky. But so is hope. When the smoke cleared, the camp stood bruised but breathing. Humans walked among the wreckage, eyes wide with awe. For the first time, the Dominion had lost not just a battle, but their aura of inevitability. Aaron looked to the sky. The fleet still waited above, but now they were hesitant. Humanity had teeth. Sable trotted up, singed but smug. So what's next, Captain? Aaron stared at the burning ship. We rebuild. We teach. We prepare. For what? She asked. He smiled faintly. For the day they realize Earth's children don't surrender. They adapt. The dawn broke clean over Eidolon 9. For the first time, it felt like the beginning of something larger, a war of reclamation, a return of the human will. And somewhere, far above, the Dominion watched a small planet of fragile beings refusing extinction.